Welcome to this session. I'll try to make it short. What is the topic of this presentation? It's about electricity in data centers. Everybody has heard about AI. AI is in the news every day. Yesterday, OpenAI, Oracle, and Broadcom announced another 300 billion. So we work in billions in the data center space. So my job is to help understand where the electricity is going. This is who we are. I'm a nonprofit. SDEA is a nonprofit funded by the Federal Office of Energy in Switzerland. We also have all this group of beautiful academics, industrial partners, customers who we work with, sponsors also. These include Hewlett-Packard Enterprise, includes my university, EPFL. It's a polytechnic in Lausanne. EcoCloud is a research center where we build sustainable data centers. And Hochschule Luzern, the Data Center Association, Telecommunications Association. So it's an academic alliance, an industrial alliance to look at data centers. Now, why are we talking about data centers? Because this graph shows to you what the electricity consumption in data centers is. These are just projections. If you look at the lower projection by 2030, we will be maybe a little bit under 1,000 terawatt hours per year. That is the electricity of Japan. Okay? Now, if you look at bigger, more likely, or even higher estimates, that's going to be 50% more than the electricity of Japan. Now, I was just in Japan 2 weeks ago, and I was talking to a think tank that gives advice to the government about data centers, and they told me they're out of energy. They cannot grow. So what we need to figure out how to properly grow data centers, because data centers are good. They're bringing us the digital revolution. They're bringing us AI. We need to figure out how to provision and find energy for data centers. And of course, we need to worry about the carbon emissions as well. We don't have carbon emissions everywhere. In Europe, in the Nordic countries, there is no carbon emission. Right today in Switzerland, there's no carbon emission. But we still need to worry about where the energy is going because we can use the energy also in other parts of the market. So what are today's metrics focus on? Today's building efficiency mostly focuses on when we build a data center, how much electricity goes into the refrigerator? How much electricity goes into the electrical emergency systems? How much of it goes into anything that's hosting the computers? That's called power usage effectiveness. We also worry about how much water we're using. For the amount of AI we're creating, what is the amount of water consumption for the use of AI? Then we need to look at how well do we use the servers themselves. Today you can buy a washing machine that is A+ rated. It's super sustainable, super efficient. If you run your washing machine with nothing in it multiple times, you're wasting electricity, you're wasting water. That's what we're doing with the servers today. We have a lot of servers that are running, but they're not generating any output. They're just idle, still consuming electricity. And we need to worry about sustainability. We need to worry about how much renewables we're using. We need to worry about how much of the heat that's getting generated is also used for other purposes because data centers are hot. They generate a lot of heat. So this is the basic metric that's been using, that the industry has been using for about 20 years. It's called the Power Usage Effectiveness. It's called PUE. And what it does is that it measures how much of electricity goes into all of the equipment that's hosting your computers. It doesn't tell you how well we're using the computers. It just tells you everything that's hosting the IT. And the global average is roughly around 1.56. The global average doesn't matter as much because most of it now is either going to big companies, hyperscalers. Hyperscalers are around 1.2, which is pretty good. The rest of the world is called, it's a co-location market. Europe is a co-location market. We don't have Google, we don't have Amazon, we don't have Meta. We have companies that build campuses and they host the servers of other companies. That's a co-location market. And the co-location market today is moving towards 1.4. So 1.4 basically is also still pretty good relative to the average. So slowly this average is going to go towards lower and lower values of PUE. What the problem with PUE is that it doesn't tell you how efficiently you use the electricity in your servers, in the computer. When you deliver electricity to a rack of servers, which is 10 kilowatt, how well are we using that electricity? So this is a problem with nothing about IT efficiency, no end-to-end energy flow. What if we recycle the heat that comes out of data center to heat our residential neighborhoods? And it doesn't tell us anything about the carbon footprint. How much carbon are we generating by using electricity in the servers? So here's an example. You have a PUE of 1.56. About 64% of your energy is going into the computing, to the IT. That's this conference. If your PUE is 1.2, even a bigger fraction of your electricity is going to IT. So the better the PUE gets, the more we need to look at what is happening to the electricity we're giving to the IT. And that's what we need to care about. So here's an example. PUE of 1.2, this is a data center in Zurich. It's a company called Digital Realty, is one of the multinationals. They have really high efficiencies. Their PUE is really good. They rent space to their customers. The customers have their servers in the data center. The customers don't use the electricity. Only 15% of the servers are utilized. The electricity is still used in the fans. The electricity is used in a server that's on, waiting for a job to run, idle power. Electricity is used in other parts of the rack. 15% utilization is wasting that electricity. Compare that to a data center, which is not very efficient. It uses a lot more to cool down the servers, 1.5, but the customers are using the servers most of the time. They're getting utilization of 60%. That data center is actually using the electricity more efficiently than this one that the data center builders built to be efficient, but the customers are not using it properly. So PUE doesn't tell you about how well you're using your IT. And PUE is something I've been talking about for 30 years because that's what industry is using, unfortunately. And, well, we're still talking about it. So if it was the right metric, we wouldn't be talking about it. So what we need is not just a metric that tells us how well we support the IT, but also a metric that tells us when we deliver electricity to the IT, is the IT actually using that electricity? How well is IT using the electricity so they could generate output, for example, AI? And of course, we also need eventually a metric to measure how much emission we're generating, because at the end of the day, emissions impact the climate, and that's what we care about. Okay, so here's the good news. Let me remind you, we're a nonprofit. We're not a company. Okay, so we've created 3 calculators, okay? It's called the Navigator. You can go to SDEA.ch and you can start using the calculator. There is a calculator that measures how well electricity flows inside the building to cool down the servers, to deliver proper electricity to servers, to support the servers. We have the first IT efficiency calculator in the world. This doesn't exist. There are no standard metrics for this. We have created a calculator to measure the efficiency in the IT system as well. This calculator generates an index on the same scale as the DC infrastructure. So the IT user and the DC operator can combine their index together as well for efficiency. And we have a CO2 calculator. CO2 calculator measures all the electricity that's coming in, what are its sources of generation, so we can also measure their emissions. We also have 4 labels, and we're proud to announce that we not only have customers who have reached gold, which is an efficiency on our threshold scales of 1.2. We have examples in Switzerland. We've also certified data centers in Europe. So we have Protus Data Center in Luxembourg that just recently received the label. We have 1 customer that achieved an efficiency higher, better than 1.2. Now we have launched a platinum label for the first time to also support those customers. And the International Energy Agency wrote a report a couple of years ago. They compared all the standards and metrics and labels in the market, and they cited us as the only one that gives you a quantitative metric that's comparable across data centers. So we not only give you a certificate, a label for what you achieve, but we also give you a number so you can compare your number across your customers or with other data centers. The label is modular. That means that if you're just a data center builder and operator, you can get a label for the equipment that houses the servers, that includes your cooling, that includes your battery systems, that includes everything. You need a building in the building to support the servers. The label also allows an IT customer, that's people in this conference, to just measure their IT efficiency alone by themselves without the data center. So as an IT customer, you can also run the calculator and get a label for your IT. Or if you have a complete data center, private data center by yourself with IT and DC, or you're a customer of an operator and you want to combine the two, you can also combine the two to get a full stack efficiency index. We're here to measure efficiency. We're not here to market a product, right? Our goal is to make the data center market more sustainable, and we believe that we should measure and not guess the efficiency of the data centers. That's the only way we can provision properly resources for computing. There is a strong business case. We have IT customers in Europe whose servers are used only 10% of the time. They waste a lot of electricity. If you properly load your servers, so you reach utilization of 60%, 70%, you need fewer servers for the same service. Fewer servers means more money in your pocket, less electricity, less energy, better climate. And this is about a competitive edge being ready for use today. That's not something we're promising for the years to come. This is about bringing transparency and leadership into the market. This is about working together to achieve our efficiency and sustainability goals. And on that note, I'm more than happy to answer any questions. You can ask your questions in German. I'll answer it in English.
Thank you very much for your impressive presentation. Thanks a lot. Questions?
Thank you for the presentation. Is your methodology open source, or can people access and see how the methodology is generated, and how do you do the measurements?
If you go to the navigator, you will see what we're measuring. Okay? We'll ask you to measure. If you look at the DC energy flows, the DC energy flows are 6 schematics, and these schematics are measuring points within your energy flow inside a data center. If you have a data center that doesn't follow these 6 schematics, you can propose your own schematic and propose your measuring points. That's standard, that already exists. IT will tell you what to measure, but we're not telling you exactly what the fraction of the weight for each KPI is in the final index. However, we'll tell you, if you look at average breakdown of weights, for example, how much electricity goes into your CPU, how much it goes to memory, how much goes to network, how much it goes to storage, those fractions are published numbers you can get from the literature. So we don't actually measure the amount of electricity because today's IT equipment is not equipped with sensors to measure the amount of it. So we have to basically use as a first step a predefined weighted index based on the KPIs that we propose. CPUs are about 30% of electricity. Memory is roughly about 40% these days. Network is small, it's about 10%. Those are well-known numbers.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Any questions? Okay.
Yeah, hi. I was actually walking by and I was dragged here by your magnificent presenting style. And question I have, how come hyperscalers have such more efficiency, but they're still more expensive?
Okay, so this is a very good question. So why are they so efficient? And why are they efficient? Because electricity and the servers, the entire data center cost, factored into their economic model. Now, last year's global data center investment worldwide was $300 billion. The cloud revenue was $700 billion. The margins are a bit over 50%. We don't know what the margins are, and nobody will tell us, but we can tell they're a bit over 50%. The reason why they're expensive, well, first of all, they're cheaper than doing it yourself. If you're doing something at that scale, they're cheaper than doing it yourself. But the reason why they're expensive is because it's wine pricing. They're only competing with each other and there's nobody else. But their margins are high relative to other markets. And you need to also keep in mind, these are the most valued companies in the world.
Any questions? Okay, my question is, you mentioned you're certifying the data centers, and how is your certification combining to other certifications of data centers?
Very good question. I didn't present that because we usually present that when we go to DC conferences. This is an IT conference, but it's a very good question. We're completely what is the word I want to say? We're compatible with all of the standards that are out there. So there is ISO, there is EN, European Union standards. They measure PUE. Protus Data Center Luxembourg just had an EN and ISO certification, and we accepted that as a PUE. The difference is that our PUE is a little bit more integrated because in our PUE, we call it PUE Plus, we also take into account heat recycling, and we also take into account on-premise renewables. So if your PUE is already good, you don't need our PUE. We'll still give you the label. If your PUE is not good and you could benefit from heat recycling and on-premise renewables, measuring our PUE, you get a better grade.
Okay.
But
so
we're compatible.
Thanks.
Yeah. One last thing. There are no IT KPIs today. So the only standards that are out there are only for the DC. That's this part here. This is the only part for which we have standards today. This part doesn't have standards. We're the first to propose it.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Actually, through the talking, this question just popped up into my brain that how much is the timeline that a company could reduce the PUE? Like, do you have this also has a measurement? Does it take, for example, a year? I don't know, 6 months or 6 years?
We require a measurement of 12 months. And the reason is that PUE fluctuates during the year. During the summer, it's hotter, your PUE is higher. During the winter, it's colder, so it goes down. So we require a measurement of 12 months. Now, how long does, if I understand your question, you also are asking how long does it take to improve PUE? Yes. That depends on where your PUE is and how much you're willing to spend. If your PUE is 1.6, it doesn't take a long time to take it to 1.5. But if your PUE is 1.2, it's exponentially harder to make it 1.1. So as you get closer to 1, it takes a lot more investment and takes a lot more time to do it. Having said that, some of our customers who were getting certified, they use the calculator to improve their PUE before certification.
Thank you very much for your presentation. You mentioned it's a non-profitable company. Should I get it closer? Okay, thank you for your hint. I mean, you mentioned it's non-profitable organization, yes. NGO or something like this.
Yeah, so there is a cost associated with using the platform and for the label, but that cost goes into the operational expenses of the association. The entire association is volunteer work. We only have one permanent employee right now.
I see. So,
but we're really high on visibility. We're everywhere.
I see. So, is it kind of a private or governmental company, or because I'm working in business development and technical sales, I'm curious. I'm working in business development and technical sales. I'm curious to know that what is your business model? What is your pricing strategy? And
okay, I'll tell you what our price is. So, like I said, we're only there to have operational expenses covered. So because our goal, our mission is to promote sustainability. So the dashboards, we offer 3 dashboards for customers to use. They don't have to get certified. If you buy a single dashboard, I believe it's 500 francs, roughly 500 euros. If you buy more dashboards, if you want 10 dashboards, we'll give you a bit of a discount. The label for the DC, we have 3 grades depending on the size of the campus. It starts at 500 square meters, goes all the way up to 5,000 square meters. And the prices vary for 3 years, from roughly 5,000 francs to 30,000 francs. These are much cheaper than for-profit labels that are out there, including Uptime Institute's rating for data centers. For the IT, because the IT customers pay for rental space per square meter, we also charge per square meter. So we're trying to take a tiny little cut out of your footprint.
Any questions?
Yeah, thank you very much. Just one question regarding the third one, CO2 emission. Just wanted to ask, do you have clients around the world or are they just in Europe? Reason being, as you mentioned, CO2 footprint calculation is relatively simpler in Europe, but compared to other countries like I am from India, it gets really complex because the energy sources are right from coal to nuclear. So that, I mean, out of interest, I am asking this question.
Right. So right now, we only have customers in Switzerland and in Europe. In Switzerland, there's no emissions for the most part, so everybody gets a plus label for now because the glaciers are still there. In the Produce Data Center in Luxembourg, we just certified they have emissions, so they didn't qualify for the plus label. So there, the utility providers provide the information about the sources of electricity. And in Switzerland, there is a government published table that says what the actual emissions are per source, but the utility provider sometimes can also provide that information. And we're working together with others to look at information that is already available from the grid itself. But in India, I would imagine It's mostly coal. So, yeah. Yeah. And we know what the emissions of coal are. So.
Okay, there was another question.
Thank you for the presentation. The presentation was good. My question is regarding the IT infrastructure. So usually the servers are rated.
Closer.
Yeah, the servers are rated. How are their energy consumptions and all are written in the technical specifications of the server.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
So based upon that and the data from the server, that is how much is the utilization of the server. You have created a weighted matrix that you'll be giving weightage to this much of the points, and then you grade the IT infrastructure score.
Yeah, so we don't use information from the server itself, from the manufacturer, because most servers roughly these days have the same level of efficiency. The CPU comes from Intel and AMD. The memory is provided by by Micron or Samsung. So we don't look at the server itself because the efficiency rating of servers themselves are roughly the same. That wasn't the case 20 years ago. We only mostly look at utilization. We have about 60 KPIs for IT. We have CPU utilization, we have GPU accelerator utilization, we have memory utilization, we have what fraction of your workload is consolidated, what fraction is virtualized, what fraction is not virtualized. We look at how much flash do you use versus hard disk. We look at, in the network, we look at copper versus optics. We look at your power supply ratings. There are industry standard ratings for power supplies, for power distribution units. We have about 60 KPIs. And if you go to the Navigator, the IT profile, you will see basically those KPIs. And we create an index on the same scale as the PUE index, so you can combine them.
Okay, Babak, excuse me, I have to stop it now.
Yes.
Thank you very much. It was really interesting. Thank you very much for your interest.
Well, thank you all.